Welcome back, everybody. Retail continues to expand. Drexel Town Square, yet another example of progress in the suburbs. Also in Oak Creek, IKEA furniture store will open its doors next year.
So joining us this morning, our former Oak Creek Mayor, Steve Scafidi. Tell us, what was it about Oak Creek that won out all of these sites? I think they looked at 16 sites before choosing Oak Creek.
Right, Shannon. They did look at a lot of sites, and it's not really just one thing. It's a lot of things. The biggest thing I think that brought them to that site on Drexel and I-94 was the available space. And it's one of the first kind of open exits, undeveloped exits as you come into Milwaukee County. They knew that that was a market that they wanted to get into because the closest ones are Schaumburg and St. Paul or Minneapolis. So this was a great spot. The other big thing, and I think, not to be bragging, but
you can brag, it's fine.
We worked well with developers, and we kind of played the game. We knew that we wanted to develop in the right places, and we knew that was a great place, so we worked with them to kind of make that happen.
I talked with another South Suburban mayor a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, how do you feel about losing IKEA to Oak Creek? And he said, no, we didn't lose IKEA. We're still going to benefit from the IKEA being there, but we don't have to pay for it in our community. What is the give that a community has to give a developer, give a company like this to lure them?
Well, if you want to be big and bold, and we've heard that term used, obviously the governor's used it, and I like the fact that communities are starting to use that. It's going to cost you something, and I think TIF financing is the way to do these projects. We certainly saw it with Oak Creek. The give is ultimately about $20 million. I think it's a great investment given the 1.3 million people that will shop there every year. Look at Von Mauer and what it's done for the town of Brookfield. That's even a larger TIF district. That is something you have to do if you want to play ball with the big boys. And IKEA is certainly the biggest of the biggest, and it was an important TIF for us because it's not only IKEA, it's what goes around it.
But you know, one of the things we were talking about in this segment before is, you know, all of this retail building up and a lot of brick and mortar stores created, but a lot of people still shop online. And we were talking, you know, just during the commercial break. What is it that brings people to these locations and why we continue to see the growth?
Well, you think about it, shopping isn't just about buying a product, it's the experience of buying it. And as much as I like online shopping, and I know that people are doing it because the numbers keep going up, you see it, you see people buying things, you see the Amazon effect, right?
You should see our desks because we usually get a box every other...
You're always getting things.
Or at least,
online shopping is the thing to do.
But stores like Von Mauer and IKEA, it's an experience. You go there, you spend the day. People ask me, why would you give, really not giving, it's a developer funded TIF, right? So that, you know, they're going to pay taxes which get put back into the TIF. Why would you do it? Because it's 1.3 million people that come to your city, not only shop, eat at the restaurants, stay at your hotels, do all the other shopping and experiences that are around that. So that's one of the big reasons.
To that point, the model has changed. In the 70s and 80s, it was building big shopping malls with anchor stores, Northridge, Southridge.
Right.
We see a change now. Bayshore has got apartments over retail. Drexel Town Center,
kind of a walking,
apartments over retail.
Right.
The new Brookfield development, apartments and retail. Is that the secret sauce? You need to have the people where the stores are to keep everything alive?
It's that mixed use element, right? All the pieces. In Oak Creek, Drexel Town Square, it's civic, retail, residential, restaurant, you name it. All of those things go into that mix. It is a secret sauce, I guess, although it's not so secret anymore. You bring people together for all these different reasons, and it makes the experience, like Shannon talked about, a richer, better experience. It makes it fun to go to that place. Drexel Town Square was controversial because not everybody, people love the old downtown, even though we really didn't have one. They love the corner of Howell and Putes, and that was the downtown for 50 years. When you change something like that, it's a big deal. So you had to convince them that, and now it's a big success.
So now you say, is it fair to say that Drexel Town Square is a game changer in Oak Creek? But I want to know, what is the driving force of success in Oak Creek to continue to see what we're seeing?
The buzz has been great with Oak Creek for quite a few years because we've been open to development, we've green-lighted projects, we've made them as smooth as possible. One of the reasons IKEA also came here is because we were able to work with them effectively, not get bogged down in some of the things that plague other projects. You've seen it across the state, but having a reason to come to a city and understanding that you can make it work here, that's the biggest factor in making these things go. It's not about really what the state does. It's, in my mind, it's for business and economic development, it's more about what communities do.
Right.
They're taking the chances now, not the state.
Last minute here, how do you overcome the aversion to change? that seems to be.
What do you mean, like the people who say, I just wanted to be the small town Oak Creek that I knew?
There is a very Milwaukee aversion to changing things, that people remember how things were, and they think that was when we were at our best, and any diversion from that is a sin. It's an atrocity. How did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, we had some of our most contentious meetings about this IKEA project. Now, if you asked me if it was popular, I would say overwhelmingly, right? 98% of the population loved it. But there's that core group of people that love things the way they were, where it was quiet, no traffic, rural setting. My argument is, in the right places, you can certainly develop, but you have to pay attention to the rest of the city, and we've certainly done that with all the parks that we've added and things like that. So you got to balance that. You have to listen to those folks as well.
And not to mention that change is the only constant we have in this world.
Right. Things will change
if you do it right.
If you ask me if IKEA is great for Oak Creek, I'll say yes, but it's even better for Milwaukee because it's a big, big story.
Former Oak Creek Mayor, current WTMJ Radio host,
right, new gig.
Graffiti. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
So what does all that suburban growth mean for smaller specialty stores?
We're talking with the owner of one of those businesses and how she's competing with the big retailers.